Bible stories with Liv. Today's story comes from the book of 1 Kings. So there's a prophet named Elijah, right? And he was chilling in a town where everybody was worshiping both God and also a spirit named Baal. And Elijah's all like, my dudes, you can't do that. You got to pick. And they were like, you cereal? And he was like, dead ass. And they were like, okay, but then how are we going to pick who to worship? And Elijah's like, ding, I've got an idea. What if we set up like a little competition of sorts? So, all right, hear me out. Like, you guys build an altar to Baal, okay? And I'll build one to God. And whichever one catches fire, that one's, God. And they're like, yeah, okay, we can get behind that, bet. So they set up their altars and it's Baal's turn first. And they're all like, oh, great, Baals, come down and set fire. And personally, I like to imagine that Baal was somewhere like, y'all hear something? No, okay. And they're doing their thing, and Elijah, like an absolute savage, is like, you know what? I bet Baal's in the bathroom, guys. I bet he's just taking a nap. For real, he said that, verse 27. So no fire comes from Baal, and then Elijah's all like, okay, my turn. He even douses the thing in water just to prove his point. And he's like, all right, God, do your thing. And God's like, skadoosh. Pew.
So I was trying to film a video, but my whole family was home, and my brother was listening to yee yee music while showering. So this is annoying. So I decided to go outside and take a box with me so I could just zoom away. But then my neighbor came outside, so I felt awkward. Oh. So, the end.
Okay, so this is a true story from when I was in 5th grade. I was a rambunctious child, honestly not too different than I am now. And that means that I would go absolutely ham on the playground. We're talking playing spies and tag and the tan bark is lava and anything that involves blue shoe, who's it, not you. Now, part of the playground was turf grass, like that weird fake grass that has tiny black pellets in it. And because I played so hard, I would always get the pellets in my shoes. And I would come home from a long day's recess, and when I took off my shoes, I would empty them out into the corner of my closet until they piled up like a sand dune. Not my brightest moment, I know. However, my mom was in my room one day and she was like, Liv, do you know what these little black things are? I was embarrassed. So I said, nope. And she said, oh man, well, I think it's rat poo. I think there's a rat living in your closet, Liv. And I said, oh no. And so she set up mouse traps and sprayed the closet out. My dad searched for holes that the rat might be living in, and I watched silently, never acknowledging my perjury, my crime. And the best part is I kept my mouth shut about it for 10 years. And if my mom is watching this, she's finding out about it right now.
So my daughter just came up to me all upset. I'm like, well, what's going on? She said, I have a crush on Dylan next door. Yeah. Well, Dad says I can't have a crush on Dylan. Why not? Well, he told me not to tell you, but apparently he's Dylan's real dad. So that makes him my brother. So I can't have a crush on him. Well, don't tell your daddy, but he ain't your real dad, so you can date Dylan. That's fine.
This is why you should never go scuba diving in a big group. This is a picture of Tom and Eileen Lonergan, and on January 25th, 1998, they had no idea what was about to happen to them. They wanted the chance to scuba dive in the largest coral reef system in the world. So they set sail with 26 other people and went 25 miles away from the coast of Queensland, Australia, which was their original location. Tom and Eileen only thought they'd be going scuba diving for 40 minutes and they'd come back up and then they'd go back to their hotel. So after about 40 minutes, everybody boards the boat and they go back to Queensland. The next day, another group of divers go out to the same location and one of the divers found dive weights at the bottom of the ocean. They didn't think anything of it until they couldn't find Tom and Eileen. It had been 2 full days until anybody even noticed that they were gone. The people in the group with them just assumed they were out doing stuff or seeing Australia. People wanted to check on them to see if they were okay, so they went to the Lonergan's hotel room, and sitting outside of their door was their luggage. And that is when everybody realized they left them behind, because it had been 2 days and their luggage was untouched. Running out of time, but part 2 coming right now.
Story time about how my boyfriend cheated on me with a 17-year-old girl. So when summer started, I started working at this new job. And I had a really good connection with one of my coworkers. And he was 28 years old. So we started talking. But I would get mad at him a lot because he would ignore my messages asking to hang out. And on top of that, every time that we got done with work, we would all go sit and eat, and he would sit next to this one girl. And by the way, she was 17. And I could see them flirting all the time. Well, finally, once summer ended, she moved away. And then I felt like I had a real chance to start dating him. So we started hanging out a lot and hooking up a lot. After a few months, I started taking our relationship serious. Well, apparently not for him, because there was this girl on his phone that he had been texting a lot. So weirdly enough, after that, I get a DM from the girl that he would always flirt with at work. And she asked me if I was dating him. And I said yeah, and then she goes, oh, well, he's been texting me a lot. So then I blocked her and went and hooked up with one of his friends that night, like for part 2.